Joining me now, I have Alex Bishop, CEO of Concierge Strategies. So that's concierge like in a hotel.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be here.
Great having you. And you guys are doing consulting to a number of companies, but mainly focused on the cannabis industry at this stage.
Yeah, that's right. Big focus of our lobbying efforts, and a lot of our clients are cannabis companies.
How long you been incorporated? How long you been in business?
Yeah, so we've been, goes back to early 2000s. We've been involved in government relations. We've advised companies, we've advised campaigns, but most recently, and our big focus and the reason why we're here today is to talk about what we do in the cannabis sector.
Right.
So our business is really focused on an intersection of kind of three circles. In the regulated space, we believe that if you're operating at the intersection of government relations, business development, and capital markets, you're going to be okay. But a lot of firms don't do that. A lot of companies think that this is like a novel way of doing things, that you have to operate at this intersection. And that's really what our thesis is. And that's how we do everything we do, is to operate at that intersection.
You know, I look at some of the people I talk to in the cannabis industry, maybe some of the smaller companies where people are sort of going in and they don't really understand the capital markets thing at all. And they may not be that good in terms of business, but they know maybe marijuana. And I think you're right. You got to have, it's a three-pronged solution, isn't it?
Yeah, we think so. I mean, there is a surprise when we talk to CEOs and COOs and a lot of different folks in this space on the necessity to live at that point. When you don't do that, as example with a couple different publicly traded companies, disaster happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the big story here today is CannTrust. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just a little bit of, I have some friends that were touting CannTrust very early on, mm-hmm. and, you know, it was probably under $5 a share way back when. Under $5, and they're telling me this is the model of a company. These guys are going to generate revenue. They're going to have EBITDA. You know, this is what you want to see in a startup, or maybe not a startup. That's the right word. Anyway, I've heard this from a lot of people, and it's funny that this is the one company that seems to be not following the rules in a couple instances. So, what's your take? I mean, the value, most of the money's gone now. Stock's trading at $3. Probably got some kind of value, and I know we're not here to analyze that, but what's going to happen?
Yeah. So it looks like they understood, I think taking a step back, they understood the regulatory requirements. They got that really clear. They had pressure to drive from the capital markets to drive their stock price up and to get news. You know, let's get more news. But I think all of this was focused on understanding the capital markets piece, understanding the government relations piece, but just kind of pushing that aside and saying we're only going to focus on selling product. And when you take that piece of the triangle, if let's say the triangle is government relations, capital markets, and business development, and all you do is you dump one side of the triangle, well, everything collapsed. And I think that's what we saw. We saw $600 million come off market cap.
Well, I think it was capped at $1.5 billion at one point.
Wow.
But so now it's capped at, you know, 300 million. And I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be a fifth of what it was. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I think they're high. They were trading around $15, and I think they're at $3 now. As I recall.
Yeah. So you know, I just find it a bit unconscionable that you know you're sitting here thinking like, and they've known about this lack of following regulation, and you know what did anybody say? Well, what if we get caught, or what if it gets found out? And that's where we are, right?
Yeah, I'd like to believe that the reports about that it was the CEO was maybe one of the few people that knew about it, and the board definitely didn't know about it. I'd like to believe that, and I'm incredibly concerned about the effect that this is having on CannTrust, but not just on the market cap. I mean, yes, losing $1 billion plus of market cap is it's disastrous.
Sure.
But there's people involved, right? There's people working at this company that have had their reputations been put into question, whether or not they had anything to do
Yeah.
with this cover up and breaking the law. It's affecting them. And the business side, you've got these customers, and CannTrust, let's not forget, you're right, they did a fantastic job about building out this medical brand. They've got a big following. And these patients have to get their medicine elsewhere, right? So this has a big effect
Yeah.
on people.
I know. And there was an article that came out about the salaries of executives of marijuana companies, and this Aceto gentleman was not that far from the very top of the list. It's sort of think, well, if somebody does well and does great for their shareholders, you don't mind paying them. But I think he got like $8.5 million, and just contrast that, because the salary, and this is not talking about options, I'm talking about a pay package. Bruce Linton, I think, had reported the same article that his was 2.5, and the gentleman from Aurora was $1.5 million. So, $8 million plus, and to do this much damage, it's sort of, smacks of sour grapes.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's sad in a way, right? Because there's been other damage, and now companies come out with good news, and the market doesn't care. It's almost like an opportunity for people to sell stock. Anyway, yeah. So what do you think ultimately is going to happen? Do you think this thing's going to get broken up and probably broken up and sold? I shouldn't put words in your mouth, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. So we're not working for CannTrust, so we don't.
These are straight comments based on your observations.
Yeah. So we've got a special committee. CannTrust has a special committee that they've put in place, and they've got a new interim CEO, Robert Markovich, and Robert has a track record of cleaning up companies. I think any leader is going to look at options to do the best thing for the company, for the shareholders.
Yes.
And yeah, a sale is on the table. It's always on the table at some level, at some price. But I think what we're going to see is probably going back to basic principles for the company. The company has, let's not forget that they've got some really great people working there. They've got some great IP. You handed me water and you asked me if I want a coffee. As I understand it, they have a patent on some kind of coffee pod infused with CBD, or maybe it's THC.
Right.
And a few other things that are pretty unique out there. And they did have a market cap, which may not hit again, but it may get back up to that level if they do the right things, and if they don't actually go overboard. And this is strange for a government relations guy to say this. I don't think they should go overboard and overemphasize their compliance. They need to be compliant. They need to look at that triangle and balance it out, and not be overboard on the government relations. They need to balance the business development and the capital markets, and those three need to be in balance.
So if they would have went to you 6 months ago and hired you as a consultant, this would have never happened.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think how we try to work is we try to work at.
Would you have visited their operation?
Yeah, I mean, we would have gone there for sure. We would have had the conversations with the team. We were very collaborative, and one of the good things about this new team that's been put in, the new sheriff that they've brought to town, is they're serious people, but they also know they don't know everything. And that's kind of how we operate. We operate in the sense of we need to get all the data points from, not just from marketing, not just from the IR folks. We need to get information from operators. We need to understand the operations people, the growers. And if we're able to get a whole understanding of the corporation, and we're able to provide advice on the government relations side, on the business development side, so that the capital markets piece can do what the capital markets guys do.
Right. So if anybody's out there in this space and they think that maybe they're out of whack with this triangle in terms of the capital markets and the business side of it and the regulation, they should contact you.
Yeah, I mean, if we think we're a right fit for a company, we'll tell them.
Sure, I know you're not going to do business with anybody, but you could have a chat.
Yeah, I mean, we're open to that, of course. I think we are very good at also farming out a lot of work, or even just handing stuff off. We're not, like, if they're looking for PR people, we're not the PR folks.
No,
There's
of course not.
there's great people out there.
Sure.
That like Hill and Knowlton and a whole bunch of other firms that do fantastic PR. We're very good at drilling down and distilling and ensuring that we get the right message to the markets, that we get the right message to the regulators, and the right message internally in the organization, so that companies can do what they need to do. And because we're in this industry about producing great quality cannabis and making sure that it gets distributed to the most people.
Okay. I was going to ask you a question here, and once again, my age is letting me down. Okay, so have you been busier since the CannTrust? Are you finding that more people are thinking, wait a minute, we better really pay attention here?
Yeah, we've got a couple calls from some U.S. firms that are moving into the cannabis space, or that already are in the cannabis space. Some Canadian companies are, I think they're wanting to take a second look at what their business practices are.
Sure.
And we're not here to step on the toes of any of our other government relations people. We work collaboratively, and that's kind of our shtick.
Any final comments you want to make?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that something like this happened now versus 5 years, 10 years from now, because as much as it's done major damage to CannTrust,
right,
I think it's positive in that this crisis could be an opportunity. Could be an opportunity to get back to first principles. Why are we in this business?
Sure.
What are the things that any organization would be looked to for why we'd want to invest in that firm? And that really comes down to strong leadership that are collaborative,
yeah,
strong business practices, strong distribution, and if all of that is communicated, the business development's communicated, the fact that they're compliant with the regulations, then the capital markets piece happens, and that's really what the opportunity is. So I'm hopeful.
Sure.
That the timing of this is going to be a wake-up call to the rest of the industry.
Some of these other medical marijuana companies are obviously going to pick up business because of the CannTrust fiasco, but you can't feel good about it. You can't feel good about it. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, Alex, and thank you very much for coming on the show and telling your story, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.